The AI giants are terrified you'll find out about this one machine. While you're paying $20 a month for a censored chatbot that can't even tell you how to build a basic script without a lecture, a rogue engineer just built a box that runs the world's smartest AI locally, forever, with 0 subscriptions. This isn't just a computer, it's a declaration of war against the cloud. Today, we're diving into the TinyBox, a desktop supercomputer designed by Tiny Corp and the legendary George Hotz. You're going to learn how this machine manages to pack 144 gigabytes of VRAM into a consumer chassis, why it's choosing AMD over the NVIDIA monopoly, and exactly how it runs massive 120 billion parameter models that used to require a server room. We are witnessing the birth of the local AI era, and by the end of this video, you'll see why the cloud might soon be obsolete for serious developers. Let's start with the hardware because it is absolutely insane. Most of you are probably running an RTX 3060 or maybe a 4090 if you're lucky. A 4090 has 24 gigabytes of VRAM. That's great for gaming, but for AI, it's a drop in the bucket. To run a high-quality, dense model like Llama 370B or the massive 120B merges, you need space. The TinyBox solves this by cramming 6 AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX GPUs into a single workstation. That gives you a staggering 144 gigabytes of high-speed VRAM. Why does this matter? Because in AI, VRAM is the only currency that counts. If your model doesn't fit in the memory, it doesn't run, or it runs at the speed of a snail on your system RAM. George Hotz, the man who first jailbroke the iPhone and the PlayStation 3, decided that the NVIDIA tax was too high. He's using AMD cards not just because they're cheaper, but to prove that the software stack, not the hardware, is what's holding us back. This box delivers enterprise-level performance for $15,000, while a comparable NVIDIA H100 system could easily cost you over $40,000. It's a price-to-performance ratio that makes big tech very uncomfortable. But hardware is only half the story. The real secret sauce is TinyGrad. For years, NVIDIA has held a monopoly because of CUDA. CUDA is the software layer that almost every AI model uses to talk to the hardware. It's proprietary, it's closed off, and it's why everyone is forced to buy NVIDIA. Hotz and his team at Tiny Corp are building TinyGrad, an open-source framework that is designed to be simple, efficient, and hardware-agnostic. The goal? To make it so you can run the most complex neural networks on any chip, starting with these AMD GPUs. During testing, they encountered massive driver bugs from AMD, problems that would have made most companies quit. But Tiny Corp didn't quit. They started writing their own firmware and drivers. They are literally rebuilding the bridge between the AI and the silicon from scratch. This means the TinyBox isn't just a box of GPUs, it's a completely new software ecosystem that bypasses the gatekeepers. Imagine running a 120B parameter model, something that is arguably smarter than GPT 3.5, on a machine sitting under your desk, using software that is entirely open for you to inspect and modify. No filters, no as an AI language model refusals, and most importantly, no one monitoring your prompts. Now, let's talk about the 120B factor. Why is this the magic number? In the AI world, parameters are essentially the number of connections in the digital brain. A 7B model is like a smart dog. A 70B model is like a high school graduate. But when you hit that 120B mark, you start seeing emergent behaviors, complex reasoning, better coding, and a nuance in language that smaller models just can't touch. Previously, running a 120B model was impossible for individuals. You had to rent space on Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud, paying by the hour. But with TinyBox, you own the brain. One practical tip for anyone looking at this space: local models are now catching up to GPT-4 in specific tasks like coding and creative writing. When you run these models locally on a TinyBox, the latency is almost zero. There's no round trip to a server in Virginia. You type, it thinks, it answers. This is a game changer for privacy-sensitive industries. If you're a lawyer, a doctor, or a developer working on proprietary code, you cannot send your data to OpenAI. You need a tiny box. You need a machine that works offline, behind your own firewall, where your data never leaves the room. So, how can you apply this today? You might not have $15,000 lying around for a TinyBox Pro, but the philosophy is something you can use right now. Start by downloading Llama or LM Studio on your current machine. These tools allow you to run smaller versions of the same models the TinyBox uses. If you find yourself hitting a wall because your hardware is too weak, that's when you know you've outgrown the consumer hobbyist phase. The TinyBox is the roadmap for the future of personal computing. We are moving away from thin clients where all the work happens in the cloud, back to power workstations where you own the compute. The open source community is releasing new models every single week on Hugging Face that are optimized for this exact hardware. You can literally download a new brain for your machine every morning for free. The revolution will not be hosted on a corporate server, it will be hosted in your living room. If you want to stay ahead of the curve and know which hardware is actually worth your money, you need to be here. Subscribe to ByteBrief right now for your daily dose of raw, unfiltered tech intelligence. I want to hear from you. Would you spend $15,000 to own your own and censored AI, or are you staying with the cloud? Comment your biggest question about local AI below and I'll jump in to answer. See you in the next one.